do we have a big show for you. Welcome to Play in the Field, a Bachelor podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Field, the sports anchor here at WABC in New York City. It's a huge day for a couple of reasons. One, to my left, Gina Sirico is here in studio, not in L.A. She joins us, our Bachelor insider, our Bachelor expert. Jen Matarese, of course, from ABC here in New York, is also with us. The other big news today, to my right, the happy couple, Joan and Chock, are here in studio with us on Play in the Field. Great to see you guys. How are you?
So nice to be here. Thanks for having us. I love being in the studio, and I love the new studio. It's beautiful.
The last time we had Joan in the studio was before to preview your Golden Bachelorette season preview. Gosh, that was last year. Seems like forever ago.
For us too.
These two ladies here are just ready to fire away some questions to find out what's going on with you two.
Okay. Oh God.
And if I can,
no
pressure.
no pressure at all.
If I may, you can just refer to me as that guy.
That guy.
It's a little joke because we were in Bryant Park and everybody knew Joan. And I mean, there was thousands of people there and they're like, oh, you're that guy.
You know what? Maybe
it's
Tony
guy. That guy.
They don't know how to say your name, so they just call you that guy. Because everybody calls you Chuck instead of Chock.
Yeah.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, on my way into work today, someone goes, hey, that's what's his name? So I get it, too, here on the streets of New York City.
I do that all the time.
It's nice to be sort of recognized.
Sort of recognized, yeah. They recognize, and I'm sure you guys get that a lot now with your newfound fame. People recognize you, and then maybe they can't place where they know you from.
They all think I went to high school with them.
There you
They're
go.
like, I know you. Did I go to high school with you? And I'm like, no. I didn't
Not
go to
quite.
high school with all you people.
Not
Well,
quite.
then the other inside joke we have is I go, did you recognize me first or Joan? Because it's always Joan. And then 1 out of 100, I'm like, yay!
And he's like, did you hear that? Did you hear that? She saw me first. She knew me.
Is it like in Kansas? It's like everybody knows
Everybody
you.
knows
and then,
right.
And then
There's
now,
as
do
many-
they all recognize Joan as well now? Like,
After my week here, there's as many people in Kansas as there's one city block in New York.
This is
So
it's just not a lot of people there.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And, you know, for people that don't know, you guys are here in the city looking for a place to live, and this has been quite the ongoing process here.
We're not very good at this at all.
Nobody
we had no
is.
idea. Okay, nobody is. That makes me feel better.
Yeah.
But we had, first of all, we didn't know how busy we were going to be with like all the post-season stuff, which is a blessing, and we're like so thankful. But we thought we were just going to have this normal life, and we were going to go find a place to live in New York. First of all, that's like impossible to do anyway if you're not busy. And now we're busy, so we're just in an Airbnb right now. That might just be how we're going to live. I don't know.
it's pretty nice. It beats a hotel room.
It does. It's actually really nice.
I mean, there is a thought process where you guys could just Airbnb a different month throughout the year and live in
we've
different
thought of that.
neighborhoods throughout
I
the
actually
city.
kind of really like that idea.
Yeah.
So we're in a beautiful brownstone that's 4 bedrooms. It's lovely, and Hell's Kitchen, so the great restaurants. But then I'd love to be like in a different part of town doing different stuff.
Why
so
not?
I kind of like that idea.
The world is your oyster. There's no rush here to find it right.
This city could be our oyster. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just incredible for this Kansas guy to walk down the street, restaurant after restaurant after restaurant. And then a shout out to the citizens, the tourists, everyone that's here. They are so nice. We've had nothing but just love and very nice people.
I love that.
It is true. Like you always hear that people in New York are cold and they don't talk to you or whatever. That is so not true. They like are lovely people. Everybody's nice. I mean, maybe in the streets everybody's in a hurry, but when you get like face to face and talk to somebody, everybody is just like every other human in the world.
Well, everybody's cold this week because temperatures have been in the teens.
It's cold.
And
Thanks
Gina,
for that, by the
I was
way.
going to say, Gina came back all the way from L.A. So much for that.
I left LA and it was like 75 degrees. And I'm like,
How bad is the
what am I?
snow?
And then I get here, I was visiting family on Long Island, and they're like, yeah, it's gonna snow. And I'm like, okay, but what? Why? And then it was supposed to be like, they're like, oh no, it's just nothing. It would only be like maybe an inch or two, like 6 inches of snow where they were. And I'm
You
like,
probably
okay,
don't own
what
boots.
is- What? I don't. Yeah, these are like
Snow boots, you don't have those.
I don't have those. I don't own those.
You know, but it does it get you in the holiday spirit?
Yeah, I need to do, I need to do more kind of like running around in the city. I haven't, in Manhattan, I haven't been in the Manhattan all that long, like less than 24 hours. So it's like,
We gotta get her out of here. She's gotta go. Hurry up.
I gotta get the holiday spirit
you gotta see
going.
the Christmas
It'd be great
tree.
though. Yes.
Is it really been 13 months since you guys have been
Isn't that
engaged
weird?
now?
Wow.
Well, I mean, honestly, we really got engaged in August, but
Right,
it doesn't
since
air.
you've known about it.
Yeah, since you've known about it,
So
it's
what-
been 13 months. Yeah.
So what's the anniversary? Do you go by the 13 months that we all know, or do you go by August, which I guess would be 16
by
months?
August.
Okay, well, I'm going to admit that I am like a very not romantic person.
Chock, is this true?
I don't know.
No comment. Where's the restroom? I'll be back in about 5 minutes. So.
I'm like the dude. I'm the guy in the relationship, apparently. But I did text you. I don't remember if you ever responded. Happy anniversary on August 2nd. So, by the way, I'm very proud of myself.
Wait, did you not respond to that text message?
I respond to everyone.
I was going to say
instantly,
Especially a happy anniversary.
within 10 seconds, and it's honey, I love you, and what can I do for you today?
And did you get those flowers I sent?
Yeah.
They're lost
Well,
in the
it
mail.
is. It's because it's so non-traditional. It's kind of tough to keep track.
It's like weird. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, what is their anniversary? So I think like from when we got engaged. I mean, we could do when we met, which was like in June sometime, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dates we could celebrate, but I'm just not that kind of person.
I
feel
should look
bad.
back on my calendar because the day you had your
will
one-on-one
know.
date is the day I was there. So
That
it
is
was like-
so true. That was the changing day.
And as we all know, and Gina, as we all know, that was magical.
It was
the
really
happiest
was.
place. That's what I think
Well,
we
we were
should
in
do. Is
Disney.
we
I mean,
should say
it
that's
was-
kind of our anniversary date.
Yeah.
There
A
you
true
go.
one.
She told me though. She's like, I don't know. I think he's gonna be
Think
the
he
guy.
might be the one.
And there were rumors about someone else, and I was like, I don't know. I'm reading like spoilers, and they're always
Yeah.
like, stop reading the spoilers.
Yeah,
So,
they
like, I
thought
don't
they
need
were
the
sure it was
spoilers.
Guy for a while.
No, she's like, you should have seen their eyes, and I was like, okay, Gina,
It
we'll
was
see
a
what
good
happens.
date. It was.
Yeah.
How often do you guys stop to think about, you think about that date where Gina joined you guys at Disneyland?
Yeah. Our third wheel.
And
along
where
with
you
the
were
40 other people.
there, and now 13 months or 16 months, and where you are now. I mean, it's kind of remarkable how this whole thing has unfolded the way that it has.
Like you have to believe in the process, and so you go in on every one of those dates thinking, okay, this could be it. Because if you don't, then you just waste time. You don't have a lot of time. So, like, it's a crazy quick process. But if you believe in it and you do it well, there's a chance that you can find somebody. I mean, not everybody does, but like if you actually believe that it could work, and it's a little bit of a leap of faith. You don't like know the person that well. You haven't lived in like a real world. You haven't seen them interacting with their friends and their family and with the waiter at the restaurant. Is he a nice person to the waiter? Is he respectful
Sure.
to people he doesn't know? Whatever. You don't see all that until you're out and like in the real world. But like you do get to know the person pretty well by just doing your Bachelor stuff.
So the question I have is, when you think back to when you got engaged, and then you think about where you are now, how well did you know each other then? And how much have you learned?
We've
since?
talked about that.
It's weird. I gotta tell you. You can tell them the story. It's a
Well,
funny story.
you do get lucky. I mean, you do. And then as you're older, things are more important to you and less important to you. But we continue. Every time we talk or we're together, we learn. And I mean, it's just little things that couples go through, taking out the trash. The other day, I got some crackers and I didn't fold the cellophane over.
I'm like,
But,
you didn't close the box right.
But,
They're gonna get stale.
I'm a dude. The good thing is it just doesn't bother me. I'm like, okay, I will do that.
I was like, close it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, the first time though that we were together after getting engaged, I go to his room. We were staying on a ship for the finale, and I go to his room and he has a bottle of wine. It's like 1 o'clock and it's open already, and he's ready to pour me a glass. And I sit down. And he goes, "Tell me about yourself." Like a first date, and we actually sat there and talked for like 5 hours.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
It's
amazing.
the first time we didn't have cameras, or one of the first times we didn't have cameras. So like you can really learn a lot. You have a lot to learn.
Do you guys think you both knew at the same time that you were for each other, or did one of you know before the other?
Oh, that's a good question.
So my answer to that, Ryan, would be the infatuation that I had at Disneyland, and then just spending some time with Joan, but then the hometowns. That's when, and my father saw me because I kissed Joan in front of everybody. And he goes, "I knew that you were smitten." He goes, "I knew this was the one."
I was probably a little more, once again, I'm the dude. I was maybe a little more careful. I do see like on Bachelor, and you guys, that follow Bachelor know that people like invest early with somebody or on somebody and then go, "Oh God, he's not the right guy or not the right girl." And then you're really behind and it's hard to catch up and actually find somebody if you've chosen wrong early on. So I was really careful to go on every single date and every encounter like he wasn't the guy. Like I don't want to invest too early because I didn't want to make that mistake that somebody had made. And I have like the advantage of being maybe a little more mature than most people doing this process.
Sure.
And like I knew that and I was really conscious of it. But I did, like he was the one that had like that somebody had to beat him. Like he was good for me.
The champ.
I could have been it was his to lose at that point. Like I was pretty invested, but I still tried to play the game and make sure that I gave everybody a good chance. And I ended up having like good relationships and today good friendships now with those people. But it's a process that somebody ends up getting hurt in because you are going down the road with more than one person. You have to. It's the only way it works.
I just remember through your season how open and honest and really like upfront you were about all of your emotions with, whether it was you were struggling with, dealing, with feelings about your late husband and just the process itself. It was so like, it was refreshing, to be honest. What would you, look, we've got a new Bachelorette that's almost done filming probably.
Yeah,
what would be the advice you would give to someone who is going onto the show? For the both of you, what would be the, as the lead and as someone who is, wanting to find love, what would be the one piece of advice that you would say, do this so that you get the most out of the process?
I'm not sure if I have a do this, but I have a think like this maybe.
Right.
And I think I went in there having an idea of how this was all going to unfold, and like based on watching other people's seasons, and it might look like that on TV, like a pretty standard process, but like the emotions that are going through in your head and processing it like every single day is way harder than you ever would expect, and it's every bit of it was different than what I had planned. So don't go in there with some preconceived notion. Don't think you're going to know what's going to happen. Let it just happen. Like meet the people, have the feelings that you have. Just let it happen because you can't plan it. No
Is that the
planning.
same for you, Chock?
Well, Gina, I was probably the most, at least in my estimation, ill-prepared person that ever went on the show. I had never watched an episode.
Yeah.
I really had no idea what I was getting into. Came off a life-changing event with the person that I was with that passed away, and Joan and I had that similarity. And one time she came in and kind of had a special meeting and said, guys, I'm struggling. I'm thinking about John. I'm thinking about all this. And it resonated with me. I'm like, I get it. Part of it's guilt. Part of it's going, hey, I want to live my life. And so it worked for me not being, Joan's organized and prepared. I'm a little bit the opposite, or a lot the opposite. It just worked for me. It's your personality to go in and go, let's see what happens. I'm here to have fun.
Yeah.
For what I've been through, hey, this will be easy.
Do you think that worked in your favor, not having seen the show? Because, and I bring that up because we've seen other contestants that are in your shoes that are not the lead kind of get in their own head and almost self-sabotage because they're getting jealous about what's going on because they've seen the show and they realize what's going on these dates and everything else. Do you realize you almost being kind of oblivious to all of that and maybe worked in your favor?
Oblivious is a polite word. I had no freaking idea. I mean, we're there in Tahiti, and somebody brings up the Golden Rose. And I'm like, what are you talking about? They go, you walked by that every rose ceremony. It was encased. I had no idea that the last guy got it. So we had one person, no names, that was very prepared. And we had Keith, who knew more about Bachelor. He and Joan are the two most informative people I've ever known about the Bachelor franchise. And then one guy that took it very serious. So I was just, hey, I came up, I went there with a suit, pair of jeans, swim trunks, and flip-flops. And I was like, let's party. Let's make it work. So, but it was an incredible journey for me. Yeah. And for Joan as well. I don't want to speak for you, but it was just life-changing. And a guy from Kansas thinking I'd be doing what I'm doing now had no idea.
Yeah.
None.
And
it's just a pleasant surprise.
That makes me a little bit sad about the franchise that the first of each thing, like the Trista year, and I don't even know who the first Bachelor was, to be perfectly honest, but who the first Bachelor, what was his name? What was his name?
You two are supposed to know this.
I can picture him, but I can't think of his name.
Yes, I was trying to blank his last name or his first name. We can't remember his first name.
with me?
So like those seasons are so pure. And
Alex Michelle.
Alex Michelle. Yeah, thank you. I would have never come up with that. I'm a lot older than you.
It's here.
I feel like those seasons are really poor, really kind of pure, and like Gary's season and my season, like the men and women don't really know what's going to happen post-season. And so we're all like kind of oblivious, and we're just there really for the right reason, like so right. And I feel like after the first of each one of these, it just starts going downhill. Like people are there for different reasons.
So there was a lot of talk about who is there for the right reasons, wrong reasons in Gary's book. And he mentions you. And so what do you think about the book?
I haven't read it.
Okay.
Is that by choice?
No. I mean, Gary and I are friends. I do want to read it. I just haven't gotten around to it, and that's like totally on me. But it's such a busy time of year. It like landed right like at Thanksgiving time. I haven't had time, and I will read it. I feel sad. I'm a little sad about how it's divided Bachelor Nation a little bit, or how it's like maybe scarred it a little bit. That there's he said, she said, and I particularly hold Golden's at like a higher level than everybody else. I think we should be held at a different standard, and I'm sad that we like kind of sunk down.
Fair enough. In looking at, I mean, keeping with the Golden, how much did you keep up with Mel's season of the Golden Bachelor, and what
Every
were your
second.
initial and what were your thoughts?
By the way.
Yes, of course.
Just like you know. Well, I love watching a Golden season. I was on the last two, so this is the first one I actually get to watch like pretty objectively. And I did a couple of podcasts, so I needed to know about it. Yeah. I loved the season. I felt like I didn't know Mel at the end at all.
That was
And
our
I was sad,
thank you.
and I really wanted to know him, and I had faith in the beginning. He's had a rocky start, obviously, and I was okay with his apology. I felt like he was sincere.
Yeah.
I felt like the women were giving him a second chance. I think the nation was ready. All of us watchers, all of us viewers were ready to give him a second chance, and so he went in like in good redemption mode, and he never made it past that. Like I felt like he showed his true self in that one episode really well, and then I didn't see very much of it after that.
My thought was, we've talked about it. My thought was like he was so worried that like he had already kind of stepped in a little bit before.
You're so right.
Before everything, that he didn't. He was holding back because he didn't want to make
careful.
a wrong move and make it worse for himself.
He was so careful.
But it was like careful to a fault, sort of, where like you want to, like, we knew you, we knew Gary, we want to know who this person is so we can be invested in their love story, and it was a little bit difficult.
You
in
want to
that
be
way.
cheering for him.
Yeah.
How about from a guy's perspective, though, Chock? I mean, and I disagreed with the ladies to this point. I mean, I felt like sometimes as a guy, you need to play it a little closer to the vest and maybe not show all your cards.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of empathized what Mel was going through. And I'm curious, as a guy, especially as a Golden, that having gone through the process, your thoughts on how he handled all of that this season.
Well, you have one extreme with Gary, and then you have Mel, who Gary wore his emotions on his sleeve.
Yeah.
And then Mel, because I had a chance to meet him very early in the season at a football game out at the Rams.
was there, yep.
It just very reserved and just didn't say a lot. So, you don't know if it's his true personality or if he was holding back, if he was gun shy. I just didn't know. But I agree with Joan. You really didn't see. I want to be careful because he's a nice guy, consider him a friend. Mm-hmm. You just didn't see that evolution. But we all are who we are.
Yeah.
I'm not this most outgoing guy in the world. In certain circumstances I am. And then you get put on TV and people want things from you too that you're not. And that's the other thing you've got to be careful. Just be true to yourself.
I feel like he came off as kind of indifferent. And I don't think he is. I just feel like that's what it looked like on TV. Like he just was like, oh well, with everything. Oh well. Like when Cindy left. I mean, hello, super emotional episode. She walked down the pier, and then they start showing the fireworks. And I feel like he was like, watching the fireworks. Like, yeah. And she's bawling, and he's like, nice fireworks.
Well, she told us a funny story about that when we had her on Playing the Field, that the reason she was still at the beach when the fireworks were going off was that they didn't think she was going home, so they didn't have a car ready for her. So they called an Uber, and they were waiting. She was waiting on her Uber, and that's why she was there when the fireworks went off.
When the fireworks started, well, that was a great TV moment.
Oh, no question about that.
Very lucky.
We loved it.
They got really lucky on that one. That happens a lot. Bachelor TV moments happen that they don't know.
That was a unique moment with those fireworks going off. So.
And he was just like hanging out watching it. I think there were times where you go in the show knowing what's going to be expected of you. And emotion is one of the things. And so if you're not willing to give some of yourself, and maybe he thought he was going to and then pulled back, I don't know.
Didn't. Yeah.
But he signed up for the show, and maybe he had never seen it. I don't know. But I feel like he didn't deliver enough for the viewing audience, for the viewers.
I couldn't tell why they still wanted to date him, actually, because I felt like, don't you need to know something? Don't you need some emotion? Like, you have to know the person likes you. Otherwise, you're just like, do you like me yet? Do you like me yet? You know?
Especially when you're competing with all these other women and just doubting yourself for that many weeks with all these other people around. And I felt like he did a really good job of getting to know the women. He asked really good questions, and he just didn't get back.
Yeah.
As a mature man, though, it would have been difficult for me if I would have been in his shoes to the pool scene. You know, hugging someone and kissing him in front of somebody else. It just never, I couldn't have personally done that.
Maybe you get used to it, you know?
Yeah. Or how about every time he walked in the room, they all came up and hugged and kissed him? I was like,
at one point they lined up.
Yes, I remember
They lined
that.
up. I was like, I would have gotten it. I had been like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, Joan would have been,
I would have been like, we're going to sit over here with my glass of champagne.
Joan would have said, where's the sax? I'm out.
I was like, where's my car? I'm out of here.
Oh my God. But okay, well, we did Golden. Let's talk about Taylor.
Oh, let's talk about Taylor.
I've watched Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
Me too.
And I immediately am just like, okay, she's captivating TV. Feel like she's going to be that as well. And from what I've heard, the little bit that I've heard from a little insider, that like everything has been going really well, and the things that they've been filming have been really, really good. So I think we're in for an interesting season. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts on Taylor?
If I could defer this, as I mentioned earlier, Joan is an aficionado. She is a fan.
I feel like all I do is watch TV in his mind.
So I'm going to defer all that to her because I don't know Taylor. It's just out of my realm. And to really be objective, I'll let Joan take
But to be
this.
totally honest, I'm going to put it back on him in just a little bit. I will answer the question, but when we were doing Happy Couple visits, we binge watched a lot of shows because you're stuck in a house together.
Sure, of course.
And we binge
made me-
watched Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. I made him. I found him with the remote with it on.
No.
I don't know if he would have admitted that.
It was a train wreck, though.
It was.
It was
There's a thing
entertaining.
about her, though, that is really endearing because she is unashamedly truthful about herself. Whether it makes her look good or makes her look bad, she tells the truth. And you need that on The Bachelor. Like, it's all about telling the truth because, like, you have this small amount of time to get to know somebody. And if somebody is portraying themselves in a different, like they're not really the person they really aren't, that's unfair because you're going to get to the end of this and you're going to end up with a very unsuccessful season. They might get engaged, they might end up together, but then they're going to be done in a couple months because you didn't get to know the real person. I think with Taylor Frankie Paul, you already know the real person. She's already been on a show and she was like, I mean, the bad was really the show. Like, they showed every bad thing you could possibly think. I mean, she has 2 baby daddies.
Yep.
She only one she was married to. She's divorced. There was a sex scandal the first season.
Yep.
I mean, there's been a lot of stuff. Yet I still love her, and I feel like
I'm rooting for her.
I'm rooting for her
In a kind of a different way, you
really
are.
am.
Yeah, you're going.
You just want her, you just want like her life to level off and be like, you're going to be okay. Your kids are going to be okay.
And I have faith that she will because I think she's a really good person. And I've now gotten the chance to meet her, and she really is. She just is so open. I think this is a hard find, though, because she lives in Utah. She's not going to move. She has 3 kids there with 2 dads. The guy has to fit into that life of 2 other men that have been in her life and will always be in her life because they're fathers to her kids. To live in that community, probably to go back on this TV show. He's probably going to be part of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. That's like a lot to ask of a person to fit into that life.
Also, someone who does agree to do that might find it's not for them, like a little bit of the ways in, you know, because that is a hard life.
It was more than what you bargained for.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That would be a lot.
Yeah. I'm worried about what guy is going to fit in that life. I hope she finds one. I really do. I would love it for her. And I think that she's ready for that stability. I think she's tired of that crazy life that she was living. And, I mean, she ended up even being a convicted felon. I mean, like, there was things like, I think she's good. I think she's ready. I think she's ready for her life to settle down. This is just my opinion from meeting her. And I hope she finds it on the show. I feel like she has some good guys from what I can see. Good looking guys, at least. I don't know. But they're handsome.
Yeah.
She's all right. She's got a complexion.
Well, I think because of everything you just said, there were some people that thought she was a curious choice to be the next Bachelorette, but given your, as Chock points out, how well versed you are in the history of the show, do you think her being cast as the Bachelorette is the right time for this franchise? Given that, you know, a lot of detractors say the franchise has kind of gone stale, not so much on the Golden side, but as far as the Bachelor and Bachelorette go, was this the right time to bring Taylor Frankie Paul in?
That's really such a good question, because I happened to be in LA filming that HGTV show. We renovated the mansion, so
right.
I was a contestant on that show, and I was staying at the hotel with one of my friends, one of the producers from the show, and I was like, "Meet me for breakfast right now, because we need to talk." Because it had just been, and he's like, "My phone is blowing up," and I was like, "What the heck are you guys doing?" And he's like, "She's a great choice," and I know that they were going for ratings. Okay, let's be honest.
Yeah.
We've never, I mean, the franchise always, you know, pretty much cast really wholesome people, like people that don't have much of a past, pretty wholesome people. So she was the opposite. And I'm not saying that she's not wholesome. I mean, I guess she's not wholesome, but she is who she is, and she's still a good person. And like, I bought into that after they did it. I was like, you know what? If it's her ratings, they're going to get a lot of great ratings. I hope that she is, like, I have faith that they know what they're doing when they cast somebody. So I was like, I'm going to give it a chance. And I've heard the same things you've heard, that she's been phenomenal. I did get to meet her. I had a lot of conversations with her, and I feel like she really is there for the right reasons. And I think she's a really good choice. It makes me wonder what's going to happen with Golden. I think Golden is kind of in the same place now that the regular Bachelor and Bachelorettes were. Like, you know, things were a little iffy. They had some not so successful seasons. They went from Jen to Grant, both broke up. Jen didn't even make it to the finale. I mean, hers was already broken up. I mean, he ghosted her. I mean, there were a lot of bad things that happened along the way. And I feel like, although, I mean, Gary and Teresa broke up, we obviously are a successful outcome. You know, Mel and Peg look successful right now. They didn't get engaged, but there is a relationship. They're pursuing something.
They seem to be very happy.
Seems to be okay. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I think that it's teetering a little bit, and I'm afraid they're going to have to do something big for Golden too now. Like, they're going to have to cast somebody who's already known.
Do you think a Golden Paradise season could work? And if so, no?
She says no, and I go,
think yes?
bring it on. Bring it on.
Not enough of them.
Absolutely.
Well, that's fair.
Not enough of them.
That there isn't enough. To,
Okay,
like,
if we
do
get
a whole-
another season of Golden, then could we have enough?
We only do one golden. We only do one golden a year, and by the time,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
now the people from Gary's season are going to be too old. It's going to be 4 years later, and they're going to be too old, because some of those women, like Sandra, came on the season and she was 75. She's going to be almost 80 years old. Like, there's and also the age discrepancies have been really pretty large. So Gary's season, I was the youngest one, and I was 60. And that went all the way up to 75. Then my season, I didn't have anybody even in their 70s. I mean, everybody was in their 60s, and even some in their 50s. Mark was 57.
Yeah.
So, like, we were way younger. So when they tried to do Paradise with that group of people, they were mismatched age-wise.
But you do have to throw Mel's contestants in there if you do it in
Absolutely.
the future.
Well,
so
and
you've
that will be next.
Because there's a relationship that's already started there, and then there's other people that are interested in other people.
Well, but the other thing is, the guys from my season, so many of them have girlfriends now or are engaged.
Yeah.
So we have, like, it takes out a big chunk of those guys that wouldn't even be eligible. I just think that the ages don't match up, and there are just not enough of them.
Is there anyone you want to put together?
I tried.
Oh,
did some
Who's
major
doing
match-
it?
Trying to matchmake, yes.
I was a failure.
Can you share names?
I mean, I could, because the people know about them, but they didn't work. Oh, so I tried to do Susan and Jack.
Yeah.
Okay. We would have loved to have seen that, by the
Wouldn't
way.
it have been great?
Yeah.
Maybe it was too much.
It was
Too much personality.
Could
in
you
one
imagine-
man.
Yeah, right.
a lot of personality.
Could you imagine that reception?
I gotta be invited to that.
Yeah.
one. Without a-
I don't think anybody could get a word in edgewise there between the two of them. There's so much personality. I tried to do Jordan and Leslie.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Also,
that's
did not
right.
work out. Jordan has a serious girlfriend right now.
Wow.
Susan has a serious boyfriend, as we all know.
Great.
Yeah.
I think Jack is doing just fine without us. He didn't need my help, really. I tried to do quite a few. I tried to do one with Kathy, and I don't think I can say who I tried to set her up with, because that didn't work out at all. And I feel
like
I don't want to betray her trust.
I remember us having that conversation.
We had that conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, I had several. To be honest, so many of the women from Gary's season contacted me after my season and asked me to set them up with people. And I tried. I was like, I'm all in. and not a single one worked.
Man.
Not a one. Yeah.
But Ryan, I would tell you, I think the beauty of Joan's season and Mel's, I want to speak for Joan's season, is the contestants, we all liked each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you call it the fans, the people watching, the viewers, let's say, use that term. They were very happy to see that. Not a lot of drama. And just, we get so much feedback, like the little Christmas party that the guys in LA had last night. There were 6 of them. Just so many positive comments on that going, we really like that. So that's something that we brought. And I do agree with Joan, there's not a lot of them left. But I think if you had enough people, enough contestants or participants in that, I think it'd make for good TV.
It sounds like you just want to go to the beach and hang out.
I want to be the bartender.
and
I want
Joan
Wells'
can-
job.
Say that
You
he's
two
not,
can both go
he's
down
not
and
allowed
bartend.
to go. He has a fiance.
He has
He
obligations.
will not be there.
Well,
I bet you could both be there. He could bartend,
you're going.
and you could be like
host
the
challenges and
Yeah,
stuff.
So
right.
bad. I just want to be the bartender because they get all the good scoop.
for sure.
Yeah, that's exactly.
But I'm pretty sure Wells is not giving up that gig.
That's true. Although I feel like he said he needed Keith to leave because he kept drinking all of his
because
booze.
he didn't have,
Yeah,
he was
right.
running out of vodka, I think, tequila or something. I do agree.
Chuck, you bring up the point about you guys all being friends from Joan's season, and we just saw not too long ago you were hanging out in Chicago with
Yes.
Jordan and Pascal.
Yeah.
Is it weird for you to see your fiance posing pictures with all of your ex-boyfriends? You guys are all hanging
Listen,
out together?
I posted that one time pretty early on. I said, "Oh my gosh, it's Chock and all my ex-boyfriends," and I got a lot of really bad feedback from that. Really? They
Why?
were like, yeah, "That's very disrespectful to him."
Oh
things
my
like
God.
that. I'm like, "Oh please."
That's
was
one
just
of the
being
beauties
funny.
of
It
being
was funny.
older. You just know it's
exactly.
Well, and just the other night when I was unpacking, I had a belt, and I go, "One of your boyfriends sent me my belt back." and Dan on the show, he didn't even bring a belt, so I loaned him a belt, and he got it back to me. It was just kind of funny. We just joke about it. It's all in good humor.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows I love him, so it's good. Like, you can just joke around, but I guess maybe I said that one too early on. I don't know.
And you're the same. I mean, we see you posting pictures with all the ladies, and it's almost like you guys have this whole another bachelor life. I mean, you have your friends from before, and now you have this
do.
whole new circle of friends that you spend time with.
Bachelor is very incestual in a really good way.
Sure.
Yes.
And even people that are outside of your season, you see them at events. Like, Bachelor gets us together for things all the time. You end up with other people from Bachelor, and you're immediately friends. It's just like you're part of a club. It's like being a sorority. I don't know if you guys were in sororities or fraternities. Like, you show up the first day and everybody there is your best friend because you bought them. Like, you paid for to be in the sorority. And they picked you and you picked them, and now you're best friends, like, immediately. That's a little how Bachelor is. So, and it's particularly true with people that are from your season. Those people you make an effort to see. And, you can't end up being friends with everybody because there's just only so many days in the year that you're free and that you can get together with people, but you end up with kind of your group. And we do, like, from Gary's season, where I met all these 21 other wonderful women that I loved every single one of them. Honestly, being single in your 60s and 70s is a weird place to be. And when you find people that are in the same situation, you immediately flock to each other because there's just not that many of us. Most of your friends are couples. So it's really comforting to have those friends. And we all kind of found our group of friends within that group, and so there are little pockets of us. But I stay very in touch with Susan and Kathy and Nancy and Christina. I see Teresa and Leslie occasionally. We end up at events together. So yeah, I mean, you end up being friends with these people, and like you said, they're outside of the friends that you've had since high school or whatever.
Sure, of
but
course.
you have a really unique connection to these people.
Because you've been through something that obviously not a lot of people have been through, so you bond in that way.
Yeah.
Not. I don't want to call it trauma bonding, but it's like it's kind of like it is
kind of like
sometimes like a little bond. But it is that, and like you do have a similarity in that you've all done the same thing.
This weird thing.
Yeah.
You've embarrassed your kids, and
And there you go.
you talk about that.
One thing I have to ask, because it is Bachelor fans are they're so invested.
Yeah.
And so for me, like when I see like on your posts, if you're not with each other for one moment, it's like,
No.
oh, I thought you guys broke up and I thought this. And it's like, guys, they have lives and they're together. Like
we would tell you if we broke up. Yeah.
It bothers me so much Bachelor Nation fans, please don't do this. They're happy. They'll tell you if they're going to be broken up.
Gina, I think it's 10%.
Yeah, I know.
That are just that have that edge, and then 90% love you, they support
Yeah.
you, and it's just the 1 out of 10 that's kind of looking for a fight, or they've got
Exactly.
their own emotions that they're trying to push out. So.
Yeah, I know. It
I
just
think it's flattering that they care. Like I'm
True.
like so thankful that anybody gives a crap. Like how many people do you really care if their relationship lasts or not? Unless your family or your good friends, you don't care. And these people actually care. Like they were invested. They watched it for 8 weeks, and they care that we're still together. And maybe we're like give them faith that you can find love at this age. And so I feel responsible when like I did something really stupid on Thanksgiving, and I said. Like I just did a post. I did it randomly. Like I was done cooking and my house was quiet, and I was like, just going to do a video really quickly and put it on Instagram. And I just said, I'm just so thankful. Like life doesn't turn out the way you expect it, but I'm so thankful for the life I have now. My family and my friends, and even like the people that like I converse with really often on Instagram. I don't even know you, but like you become, somebody important in my life. And I didn't mention Chock specifically. And everybody said they broke up. They're not together. She didn't say anything about him. I'm like, well, he's part of my family and friends. Like,
and it's also
I didn't
the
think
life
I
you
needed
have
to do
now.
that.
Like,
Right. This is the life that I'm talking about. Exactly.
And it didn't faze me at all. But my daughter called me within like 10 minutes.
No way.
And her friends back in New York City were like, "Are they broken up? What's going on?" You're just like,
So now I know. I will always mention him in every like emotional kind of post I do. I have to mention Chock. And Chock, yeah.
But then that's learning the process. And
Sure.
when you do have people that are vested in your life.
Yeah.
I do want to say something too, where Joan is extremely good, and it's really a compliment to her. Is like we were out in Bryant Park, and it's probably I'm a percentage guy, but 1 out of 3 will come up, and it'll be either a daughter whose mother is older and single, because you're just such an aspiration, and it's helped me to talk to my mom about getting back out in the dating world to live your life, and I hear that all the time with Joan. And Joan is gracious with anybody that comes up and says anything. She'll give them time, and it's a good compliment.
Well,
to you.
I'm very flattered that anybody watched the show who knows. I don't think going in, you never know if they're going to like you or like the show or like the guys or like the storylines. But I think my show was more about the guys. They were just so great. Everybody loved them. And I said that from the beginning. I said, it's not really like you get introduced and everybody's invested in you. And then once they meet all the other people, the contestants, they're the story after that. So
I feel like some people might look at you kind of carrying the flag as being the first ever Golden Bachelorette as something that there's pressure that comes along with that, just based on your reaction right there. But I feel like you've embraced this, and kind of to Chock's point, you're very proud of it, and you very much stand up for the franchise and everything else, and I feel like it's a role that suits you very well.
I felt a lot of pressure coming on this season, to be honest. Gary and Therese had just broken up, and I was starting to film like a month or two right after that. And I was like, gosh, if we're not successful, this could be the end of Golden. Mm-hmm. Like everybody was really mad at Gary and Teresa. And I thought, if I don't find somebody, or if this isn't a good season, I felt super responsible. And I didn't end up with him because I felt the pressure. I fell in love with him, but I did feel a lot of pressure to do it well and to do it really, really right. And I still feel that way. I feel like as Goldens, we have a responsibility to do this in a dignified way and to respect the process and show that it can really work, and that if you really invest in that, it's a good show, that you should watch this show. It can end up in something great. You look at some great couples, a lot of them live here in New York City, like Charity and Dotton are amazing, and Serena and Joe, they happen to be a paradise couple. I mean, there's just so many great things that have come out of this franchise, and probably the percentage of people that last is probably as good as what happens in real life.
Sure.
And
But you have to feel, to Chuck's point, the people that come up to you on the streets and say you've been an inspiration and an aspiration, that has to make you say to yourself, I did do it right, and make you feel really good about it.
I feel actually really very humbled by the whole thing, that I can't believe. I haven't gone back and watched the season, to be honest.
Is that true?
I really haven't. I really need to do that, because people tell me about things and I'm like, did I do that? So, it's kind of a blur.
Well, you didn't watch it back the first time, or you haven't rewatched it?
The first time. Well, you have to watch it back the first time because you have no idea what actually made it on the show.
Sure.
So, and then you go on podcasts, so you have to actually know what people saw. So I did watch that, but it's all a bit of a blur, to be honest. I need to go back and watch it. I think people were looking to see what Goldens will do. Like, how is this different? How do they navigate being Golden and dating? Because it's a combination of cringy. Oh God, don't kiss. You're old. And oh, how cute are they? They're old and they're finding love. And like, you don't want to be either one of those. You don't want to be, oh, cute, you're super old and you're finding love. And you also don't want to be like, oh, gross, they're kissing. So like, it's a fine line that you have to kind of navigate and figure out.
I think you've done it right. I mean, you guys have just enamored everybody with your love story.
Thank you.
Then also, like, you've taken things kind of relatively slow, but at a good pace for you, you know? What are the plans for the future? Do you still want to have a wedding at some point, or have you talked about that? Any news?
Oh, I wish I could break something news
Yeah.
for you guys.
I have the drum roll already.
If we do, we'll do it here.
What was the pizza place we ate at lunch today?
We just had
Ben's?
Ben's Pizza.
We'll just have it there.
Yeah,
There you go.
I love Ben's Pizza. It's my favorite pizza
Easy.
place in the city. It really is. So our lives are so busy, and not just because of our lives. Like, we have kids. So I had a son get married last summer. I have a son getting married this summer. So like, I need to get through their weddings. I don't want to take any focus off of them. And like, those are busy times, you know. Wedding, you just don't throw in a day or two. It takes months and months and months. So we're doing those right now. I don't doubt, and I don't know if I should say this on the air, that your son might be next.
Probably.
So we could have
Maybe
another
that's a little
one.
breaking news.
So
Some pressure for him.
Don't put this on the air. Well, we have kids that, you know, they really value the privacy. You know, and my daughter's out there more than about anybody, but my son's like, nope.
do not talk about it to me.
Yep.
And my kids are saying, I have 4 kids, and there are three of the 4 are married, and one's almost married, and they don't want to have any part of this. And you know, it's part of, and that could be why Mel held back a little bit also. I think his private life, he wanted to keep private, and I was the same way. Like, my kids didn't sign up for the show, so I was very careful not to talk about them. I kind of feel like maybe he was in that boat, because I'm not sure if how things unfolded with his ex-wife was common knowledge. Honestly, I'm not sure if it's still common knowledge. I don't know that much about it. So
It's interesting to me, and Chock, I want to get your point on this, is that you guys met and got engaged in the most out of the ordinary way.
Yeah.
A shotgun engagement, but now everything feels
It's going
she's
so
pregnant.
slow.
right. But now everything feels very ordinary.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm
Well,
guessing that's by design, that you guys are just taking your time and enjoying each other, and and now it just feels like you never even met on the show. It just feels like
we're
you
just
had a
like
normal
normal
engagement.
people,
Well, yeah,
normal
we're-
boring people.
14 months, and our joke is it feels like 6 years.
Yeah.
In a good way.
When they ask you, you know, what are you on the show for? What are you looking for? And I said compatibility. Because when you get older, if you don't like the person, I mean, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be fun. So the compatibility, and we, as I mentioned earlier, fortune, you know, and luck is we've been lucky. We're very compatible. Not anyone's just 100%. You know, if somebody says they are, you just can't really believe them. But 95%, we're very compatible.
Yeah, that's definitely
As long
true.
as I fold up the cracker.
I was going to say, yes, as long as you reseal.
I'm still training them, but he's really good. He listens to me.
Oh, the socks.
Oh, the socks.
Socks. How funny was that? I was
that
like,
was-
you have a problem.
Oh, she stayed up
That
2
was-
nights in a row. I mean, just kept going. And then I kept pulling bags out, and she just kept getting more frustrated.
He'd be like,
And-
I'm like, hold on to me. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. There are more? What is wrong with
Why
you?
is there an
Are
entire
they still
dresser of
organized?
just socks?
It was, there was
more than a
346
dresser.
pairs.
More than a dresser.
Oh my gosh, every drawer he had sucks in it. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. I don't know about him. But you are like, we're kind of like the regular old
Yeah.
couple right now. Well, you take that leap of faith and then you hope you did it right. And if you did it right, it's not exciting after that. There's like, you're just normal people. And we needed to be that. I feel like after Gary and Teresa did everything in a really big way, they had the wedding right away and they blew up right away. And like everything that they did was big. Like, we needed to take it slow. Like, I don't think anybody was looking for that again.
You know, our personalities, you know, just fit
Yeah.
what we're doing. Yeah.
You mentioned
Because it is your life, and you've got to make
Sure.
decisions that, you know, are good for you and your family.
Yeah.
You mentioned the 95% compatibility. Was it always at 95%? Did it start at 50? And how did it
It
grow?
might have started at 99 and went down to 95.
The married woman says that's normal, so there we go.
Like, everything he did was cute. Now I'm like, you have a sock problem. No, I feel like you get more tolerant.
Yes.
Yeah. So I am like, he doesn't need to be perfect. I don't care if he's perfect. I don't want perfect. I'm not perfect, because if he's perfect, then I have to be perfect. And
Just
think
keep
we're
the
good.
socks on that side of the room.
I came to
room.
Kansas maybe a month after I paired off all those socks, and there were 346 pairs, and then some that weren't paired that I couldn't find the matches. So there was like over 1,000 socks. And I came, and he said, "I promise you, I will. Every time I do laundry, I'll pair my socks up." He didn't.
No.
Wait, 1,000 pair of socks?
Single socks.
Single socks. So 500 pair of socks.
500 with
At
300,
least.
374 or something got actually matches. And then there was like a couple hundred that didn't even have matches.
And I just found Amazon this
don't
last
know.
year. If I would have had Amazon before that,
Oh
it
my
would have
God.
been. Yeah,
Are you
Amazon.
a sock hoarder? Is that what we want to
He
call
doesn't
it?
like to pair them, so he just buys new ones.
You gotta buy all the
Just
same
throw
color.
out the old ones,
so that
John.
they're all a match.
It was so.
Well, I go
I'm like,
through
buy
the-
all the same ones.
I go through the trends, the no-shows, the bombas. You know, it's everything. And I don't know if you know, Tom Brady has a sock fetish too.
Really?
He wears, at least when he was playing, he wore a new pair of socks every day.
A new pair.
A new pair.
My brother-in-law did a thing where he bought like a year's supply of socks so he could just throw them out
That's kind
after every. He's
That's
like,
what
I'm
he
sick of
needs to do.
pairing
Yeah.
them, I'm sick of
He's not
washing them.
pairing them.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of find it satisfying pairing socks. I think it feels good.
Especially if you find one you've been looking for a
Or
long time.
that everything in the laundry has matches with another one. I'm like, they all match today. It's a miracle. It's a miracle.
You know it's going to be a great day.
I should go play the lottery.
That's just, I'm just not made that way. I'm just
Sounds
not.
like,
It's,
Talks like, nope.
It's sounding to me like it's a girl thing.
I think
must
you're
be.
right. I think you're right. We
things to
care
match.
about the laundry.
It's really bad.
Because it gets out of control so quickly.
Well, I'd gotten you a 3-pack for Christmas, and Joe
Yeah.
said, "No, please, no more socks."
Every once in a while, I walk into a sock store. I'm like, don't even think it.
we were
out
at
of
the
there.
Nelson in Kansas City, this art museum that's just incredible for being in Kansas. And they had at the gift shop, they had socks. And I was like over there, she's like, "Don't
was
you
like, step
dare.
away from the socks."
Don't you dare."
You may not have socks.
Well, listen, the holidays are here. Christmas is next week.
Yeah.
What are the holiday plans for you both as we wrap up this episode here?
We do not know. We're not.
Wait,
good at
you
this.
don't know?
Well, we are in. So we have adult kids, and
Right.
You think like life gets easier when your kids are grown up. It gets way harder because they have significant others. 3 of mine are married, and they don't like his kids don't live close by. So we're trying to get everybody in the same place or figure out when we're going to see them, and it's a lot. So we're 80% there ish. We don't know.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to see him on Christmas Day. I'll take the train. He's going to be here in the city with his son, who's coming in on the 23rd. The two of them might hop on a train and come to Maryland. I might say, like, you don't need, like, we see each other a lot. Christmas Day is a special day, obviously, but I'm going to come back to the city on the 26th. I'm like, you don't have to get on a 3.5 hour train ride and then get on the next day and go 3.5 hours back. You know, like, I would love to see him on Christmas Day. It's a little chaotic in my house. I have grandchildren, so it's nuts. So, like, I'm giving him a pass if he doesn't want to get on the train.
Did I hear that?
Yeah. You have 3 witnesses.
Right here.
Yeah.
New Year's Eve kiss?
Oh, we're going to be here in New York.
Of course.
What should we do?
Well,
Is it too
that's
loud?
up to
Is
you.
it too late to even ask that?
I mean, you guys do have some ABC connects. I feel like you should go to the Seacrest party in Times Square.
I
is where
really
you
think
need to
we
be.
should go there.
Yeah,
I do too.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Rockney would
That'd
be
be fun.
fun.
I know. Who should I
1000%.
call? I should call somebody.
We can
I have a list.
share some info.
I'll tell you some
Yeah,
names.
absolutely.
Okay.
I know
Give
some
me
people
some
who know
names.
some people.
You know, I feel like I know some people, but it never works for me. I never get anything. I get to go and dance with. I get to watch Dancing with the Stars whenever I want. But other than that, I got
so
nothing.
cool.
Yeah,
Which is a perk in and of itself.
So fun.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I know. Yeah.
Well, listen, it's been so great to see you both.
Yeah,
and
thank
we're
you.
so happy
So
to
happy to
see
be
you
here.
guys doing well. And it's so funny to think, like we said, we saw you before your show premiered, and where you are now,
It works.
it's just been awesome.
Yeah,
so we
we're so
can't thank
we're
you enough
lucky.
for being here. And Jen, if you like our podcast, what do you need to do?
Like and follow us.
Like and follow us. This is Play in the Field. We're so happy to have Gina in studio today. If only we
Gina.
could make this
So
a
fun.
regular occurrence.
Look,
That would
bosses,
be great.
if you're listening,
Yeah. Please.
just saying, this was my vacation. I came in, I'm working on my vacation for you guys. But actually,
Thank
it
you,
was
Gina.
because you guys were here.
I love
Absolutely.
seeing you
Yes.
here.
And Gina's been a pleasure for this Kansas boy because we've done a number of interviews. You've always been so nice, and I appreciate that.
And she was there on one of your first dates.
Absolutely.
She's always
I
going to
watched
have.
the love unfold.
Yeah.
Like 100 other ABC people.
Yeah,
Well,
just a couple.
she's been helpful for me because the media world's not me. And you helped me like at the jingle, the I Heart Jingle Ball
Oh,
last
yeah.
year.
Last year.
Because I'm standing there going, what do I do? What do I say? Joe's such a natural
Talk
at
to
it.
me.
Yeah.
That's it.
Like, get on this red
hang.
carpet. I've
Yeah.
never done it
Easy
before either.
going.
Just
Oh,
smile.
that's right.
Smile.
That was your first red carpet,
Yes.
wasn't it?
And then Joan had me wear a green jacket, and I felt like Will Ferrell and
Yeah,
Elf on a
and-
Shelf or whatever.
That one I had you wearing. You wore a burgundy jacket.
A burgundy, okay, but I still have the
On
green.
Drew
yeah.
Barrymore, you were green. Yeah,
There you go.
I do dress them sometimes.
We got
Well,
you.
listen, we know you don't have to worry about finding him a pair of socks. That's for sure.
This is
You got that covered.
one of every color of the rainbow.
Absolutely.
And like 15
my
other versions after that.
It's bad.
Well, listen, thank you so much for being here. Happy
Thank you.
holidays, and we hope we can catch up with you guys here real soon.
Yeah.
For Gina and Jen and Joan and Chock, I'm Ryan. Thanks so much for being here. We'll see you next time on Playing the Field.